Ready? Carterton, no mai harama ke Party Council. Could we start, please, with Kakia Timatana? Mai te pai mama. Ora, thank you. Any apologies? I think not. We're all present and accounted for. Conflicts of interest declaration, are there any? There be none. Moving forward to public forum. We have two speakers, just one, just Simon. I thought there were two. Jason was supposed to be. Jason in the swimming pool.
He hasn't worked today. He'll have to come to the next meeting.
Next meeting. Okay, so Jason from the Carterton indoor swimming pool will not be appearing. That's fine. So Simon Casey. Normal routine, 5 minutes, and then we ask some questions if he has any questions and answers, and then take it from there.
Right, I have a presentation which Robin is bringing up. I'll speak to that. So I'm the spokesperson for the Rimataka Road Action Group, and you may have seen some of these signs on the hill, one at Featherston side, one on the Kaitoki side. They're saying, say yes to a new road over the Rimataka Hill. What we're actually really looking for is, why I'm here, is to get council endorsement of the objectives that we have here. Now, although that says, say yes to a new road, what we're actually after is an endorsement of getting this really onto the map. Go to the next slide, please, Robin. So the three terms there, short term, what we need is a study to be undertaken for a new road. There's never been a study of all the options that we've identified, and we believe that that needs to be done, because it's fine for us to say we think this is a good thing, but an independent study would highlight what are the benefits versus what are the costs, and we don't actually have that. In the medium term, we want to have it included on the Regional Land Transport Plan. Until it's on that plan, it's not even going to be looked at for the next 30 years. Now, where does Carterton want to be? Where does the Wairarapa want to be in the next 10, 20, 30 years? If transport over the hill is an issue, it needs to be identified now. And that's what we're wanting to do. And of course, in the long term, let's see if we can get a new road built. Robin? This is the government policy statement on land transport. What they want to see are these four things. They want to prove that there will be economic growth and productivity, increased resilience, improved safety, and unlock land for housing. Now, as you know, Wellington is being pushed north, and it's hitting the boundaries at Upper Hutt. The only real move north is in the Wairarapa. So we believe that we can answer all those things, the resilience, the safety, and the growth and productivity. And I'll explain a bit more about those just in the next slide, but the statement is quite important. Moving people and freight as efficiently, quickly, and safely as possible is critical to achieving these priorities. That's in the government policy statement. So we believe we're consistent with their objectives. Thanks, Robin. Productivity, it depends on certainty and reliability. That goes across the board. We don't have certainty. Sometimes we're in lockdown, shall I say, perhaps a curfew because the roads are regularly closed. We know they need to be put that way because they get repaired quicker. But it does mean that there's uncertainty related to meetings in Wellington, catching a flight, getting home again. That's really caused uncertainty. We know a new route will reduce transport times, increase land values, and it will incentivise high-value businesses to locate in the Wairarapa. Wangawa is underutilised, and transport is a major reason why that is the case. Do we want Wairarapa to be a retirement village, or do we want our young people to stay and actually do grow? Next, thanks, Robin. I took a photo of this the other day when there was an accident on the hill. It says Rimataka Hill, use alternate route. My thing is, there is no alternate route. So why put that up? And I've got some quotes that I think are quite important. I won't read it out, but if you can see the quote from a midwife, this is the serious side of not being able to get over the hill. A lot of people don't realise that sometimes people's lives depend on it. Next, thanks, Robin. Anna Nielsen has made quite a strong recommendation that we go this way. And I was also very pleased to get quite a strong statement of endorsement from Karen McAnulty, who is seeing it from a resilience point of view. The fact that we don't have an alternate road means that if the road is closed for several months, we're actually in trouble. We're in serious trouble. Thanks, Robin. It's also, we need to improve safety. You'll see from the photo on the left there, that was a tragedy that we saw for a long time until the truck and trailer got cleared. The one on the right there, a YouTube clip showing two trucks can't even get past each other. And that happens regularly where trucks even have to back up. So there's a lot of trucks with shed paint on the road that goes over the hill. And you can sort of see there the statistics. Even Mark Owen has said that this is one of the most unsafe roads in the country. Next, thanks, Robin. Unlocking land. To get new funding, we need to show that we can unlock land for housing. That's a government position statement. But some people are worried about that. What about the nature of the Wairarapa? Well, that's all controlled by zoning. And I believe we have enough land that we can, by zoning, mean that if we do need to unlock land, we've got choice as to where that will be. And of course, more houses mean more ratepayers. More ratepayers takes the pressure off the ratings base. These are the options we've got there. Option 2 was one that has been already considered, but the other 3 options haven't really been considered. The other 4 options. One of them is quite novel, and in fact, it takes us out the Tahiranekau Valley. That could be quite controversial. But what we wanted to do is show here are some options here. Most of them have not even been considered. So this is, again, what we want to study. Next, thanks, Robin. The threats will be lack of funding, competing projects. We know that now. In fact, we've got one project that we should have got funding from, shouldn't have gone ahead, that has gone ahead, which is the Mount Messenger bypass, very similar to the Rimataka Hill, but with half the traffic, and they got the funding for it. So a lot of this is political. Well, we've also got competition from State Highway 1 developments over the other side of the road. I think you know now that if anyone wants to travel between Wellington and Hawke's Bay, guess which route they'll be taking? It won't be this way. And that reduces the number of visitors that come over here. We've also got some community resistance to change. I've got a lot of feedback that's come back on various posts saying, oh, we don't want to change, the road is safe as it is, people should learn to drive, all these sorts of things, but you'll always get that. Next, thanks, Robin. We've now got 1,300 registered supporters from the Wairarapa. Just thought I'd give you a breakdown there. These are people who've gone onto our website and registered their support, but also from we attended the Martinborough Fair, and we've got sign-ups there. So they've been combined. 25% came from Masterton, 12% Carterton, 29% South Wairarapa, and quite a large number came from outside the Wairarapa. So I thought that was notable.
Fine.
Time, is it?
1 minute.
Okay.
Just wrap up.
Can I just wrap up?
Wrap up.
Okay. What I'm really looking for here is just that we've got endorsement from Masterton and South Wairarapa. I want the 3 councils to be united on this. And I want you to give us a mandate to join with us in trying to get those objectives achieved. If I can say when I'm talking to government or any other authority that I have your backing, and I have your mandate, then I can speak with authority, or our group can speak with authority. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Chair, I was just going to note that management had asked Simon to come to council. Simon had forwarded an email through to management and asked us to write a letter of support, and we didn't feel that was appropriate without actually bringing that up to council. So it was my suggestion that Simon come to council, present the case on the Rimataka Road, and ask for council's letter before I put our name to it.
Other questions?
Thanks, Mr. Bishop. Simon, I've got a question. I see your group's focused on the 3 Wairarapa councils, and you've talked about vehicles using State Highway 1 and traversing across the new highway at the northern end of the Tararuas. How come you're not liaising with Tararua District Council? Because if this goes ahead, the potential to push a lot more traffic who are wanting to go to Hawke's Bay onto the northern roads should be part of that.
Actually, the one that's more important, I see, is not so much Tara. I have met with Tracy Collis, and I haven't asked for formal endorsement. What I am wanting to do is get formal endorsement from Upper Hutt City Council, because they're in the same situation. If they want to go north, if they want to go all the way down to Haywoods, cross the line and then go up, I think we'll get support from sorry, what his name, Wayne Guppy, and that I believe will be the minimum required. We've also got support from the Mayoral Forum, which does represent all those councils. Yeah.
Another question? Comments?
I understand why we got 34% of support from outside Wairarapa at this Martinborough Fair, because all those people just driven over the hill.
No, that was also mixed up. There's quite a number online on our website. That was
So in response to this that you have up.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
So probably the final comment I'd make is that you have received support from me both online and through as Deputy Chair of the Mayoral Forum.
Yes,
we signed that. What is interesting is that the Regional Council did not support that letter. And there has been strong resistance at the Regional Transport Committee to all of the lobbying that we have done. You're not at all those meetings. I know you've been in one or two, but there's been very strong, very heated arguments. Why are you only focusing on the 3 Wairarapa councils and not focusing on the biggest resistor, the Regional Council?
The intention is to do exactly that. We want to get it on the Regional Land Transport Plan, but until I have the backing of the individual councils first.
I think you might have missed what I said.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
All 3 Wairarapa councils have been very strong and very forceful at the Regional Transport Committee meetings, chaired by the Regional Councillor for Wairarapa.
Adrian Staples. Yep.
It has not been accepted on there, despite the strong lobbying. So I would probably turn the wheel back and say, given the amount of pressure that the 3 councils and the 3 mayors have put consistently on the Regional Transport Committee, to make sure it's in not just the future development, the Regional Transport Plan, but also the future development strategy, and by the way, the carbon emissions reduction strategy, why aren't you focusing on the Regional Council? Because they are the resistor. Can I just leave with a thought? I don't actually expect an answer, but can I leave you with a thought that
absolutely
it's not 3 councils you need?
Yes.
It's 4. And by the way, you already have all these councils because they all signed the Mayoral Forum letter.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I'll just leave you with that, and any further information you might want as to some of the dialogue that's occurred at the Regional Transport Committee. We're quite happy to share that with your group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
But can I just ask, if we did want to produce the kind of letter that Simon wants, what's the process from here?
You would instruct me to draft the letter.
And does that need to come to a council meeting?
I could circulate that online. If you had instructed me to write a letter, then I'll circulate it with council via email. It doesn't have to come back formally.
In relation to that, obviously on our agenda, we have discussion of the public forum. Is that an instruction that we could actually now discuss now, and then that just gets, because I am conscious that there was a letter emailed to all of us a month or so ago in relation to this, which I think was a similar letter to the other 2 councils on the Wairarapa.
Yeah.
So is it something that we could do under the discussion of the public forum now?
The reason I suggested that item on the agenda.
Yeah. So the only guidance I might offer is that I noticed that the 2 letters signed by the Carterton North and Carterton South councils are duplicates of each other. They are what would be termed by a minister as a pro forma letter. It is not sensible for everyone to sign the same letter with their own letterhead on it. If this council were to ask the CE to draft a letter, it would be a Carterton view.
Which is what Jeff had just said, he would draft it. He gave it.
Yeah, but a unique, he didn't say, I'm just saying, we would draft a unique letter as opposed to falling in line with the pro forma letter.
Well, I'm happy to ask Jeff to do that.
Yeah. I'm happy to second that.
Do you want me to copy the letter?
There is.
We'll have our own letter, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor.
For me, I'd like to see what that letter entails. It's fine endorsing the proposal of a new route over the Remutakas, but the fact that there's 4 and there could be complexities around each of those 4, I'd want to know a lot more details around endorsing what we are endorsing, in fact, whether it's just this.
Is that not what the study, going back to that first slide, actually said? The first step was a study and they were just kind of.
Agree. So what are we endorsing?
The principle.
The principle.
A very basic principle of a new route over the Remutakas. So that's what I'm saying. Just be good to see what the wording is.
It is in line with everything we've done this triennium. We have fought very hard with the combined councils meetings, the Merrill Forum. We've gained all the support of all of the mayors in Wellington, except the chair of the regional council. We've been fighting this for 3 years. It's nice to have a community group coming up in this and echoing our message. We pushed to get the tunnel option onto the future development strategy, and then it was left out. So we've
our long-term plan, which was resilience.
and that's consistent with the direction the Carterton District Council has taken for some time. I'm not sure what more we need. If a letter is required, then that's a council decision. But we could leave that.
I'm happy to second if that's appropriate.
Can we have motions at the discussion? Anyway.
No.
Why you?
Yeah.
It's the chair's call.
Yeah.
If a motion's put, then it's put.
I'd like to move that we ask the CE to draft a letter appropriate to the request that Simon's made in respect of commissioning us, helping commission a study for the.
Seconded by
Yeah, I'm happy to second that.
all in favour.
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. The only caution I give Simon is that, as per the advice from Warwick Lamb, given that this is part of your election campaign, you cannot use this as part of your election campaign. The privilege has been extended to you in the election year, despite some pretty stern, clear indicators. So please, would you respect that? Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Motion is carried and the chief will take action now on that. Thank you. Right. Excellent. And thank you. Thank you, Simon. Thank you. And I would commend the group. Discussion probably from Youth, Council of Youth.
I think that's Josie online.
Josie.
Josie's online.
Oh,
We were here 5 minutes ago.
No, it's my turn.
it's your turn, Josie.
Oh, yay. So let me just get myself set up. Okay. We had our youth council meeting like usual yesterday, and we went over the agenda items. First, we took a very big interest in the Waterways Oral History project. I think we spent almost an hour talking about that. And we discussed that we would be interested in seeing a timeline for the plan, as currently what has been sent through is just a idea and then a suggested funding budget that they may need. And we're looking into seeing some financial and visualization of the benefit in a timeline of sorts, as well as wondering if the project has looked into other funding options, such as the Ministry of Cultural Heritage, as we had a look over and we saw some funding options from them that may fall in line to such a project. We also are wondering how the council has researched the conflict of interest that may cause in a future in the future, as the project has been sent in by Johannes's wife, and if it may branch out and manifest somewhere else, and if the project continues after selection of a candidate to run the project. And is there an ability to reduce current costs by extending the plan's timeline, such as starting with urgent items that can be done with a smaller budgeting need, and then over time coming back and getting more funding when it may be more cost efficient and relating in the plans for council's budget? And what is the end project? What is this investment for Carterton District Council, and is it a current investment that we need to go into, or is there some way to support this project without putting too much of council's budget into it? And then on the agenda item 8.3, the policies and processes, we do support this agenda item, and we believe that it would be good to have the views of the Carterton District Council representative through legislation, and we support it, I think, is kind of what we came to with that. We got a little bit sidetracked with the water races, honestly. Thank you so much. I think that's all I have to say on here.
Thank you, Josephine. Any questions at all for Josephine or Stira, just how we might answer all those questions?
I was there last night, so I think that's an eloquent summary of the way Josie chaired the meeting, which was a lot less tame than this one.
So far.
Look, thank you, Joseph. Thank you for the feedback.
Yep.
Thank you.
Happy to pick those up.
And see, we'll pick that up as action points to come back to you with explanations.
Yep.
For that. Really appreciate it. Well done.
Thank you.
Top stuff. Right, 7.1, confirmation of minutes. Someone like to move the minutes to true and accurate record, please? Councillor Gallen, seconded. Councillor Della, all in favour? Against? Motion's carried. 2, minutes of the extraordinary meeting, Council, 9 July. Same again, someone to move their true and accurate record, please. Thank you, Councillor Chair Campbell, seconded. Councillor Newman, all in favour? Against? Abstentions? Motion's carried. And the minutes of the ordinary council meeting on the 25th of June. Any comments on any errors or any adjustment? Someone like to move, please? Councillor Ayling, seconded. Deputy Mayor, all in favour? Against? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you. Moving forward. CE's report 8.1.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I will take the report as read and highlight a couple of things. I'm sure all of you would have been out at the mixtape night doing the 90s dancing, and it seems to be a roaring success for the team, both in terms of a fun night out and also quite commercially successful. So I'm had to take hats off to the team for pulling that together and doing something on our own initiative, which finished at 10 p.m. at night, so we could all get home and get a great night's sleep. That was a fantastic result. Also, I can see in there our usual regulars of the Pantaloons and some new shows coming through with Kitchen Chaos, which sounds like it had something to do with a secret camera in my kitchen when I'm there. So very good. Also, I wanted to highlight that our carver, Wayne Putel, was featured in the Times Age with regards to his carving for the Pōwhenua out of Tāpai Reserve, which is fantastic outcome. Happy to talk through the updates on our major projects as well, with noting the processed water project is coming to a successful completion, and we will be holding an opening ceremony on that fairly soon. Otherwise, happy to take questions.
Okay. Round
I wonder who's got some.
round robin around the table. Any questions? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, His Worship. Jeff, just page 28, the Waste Minimisation Fund. Fantastic that we're provided some funding to Hoki Wairarapa to install some recycling bins. Did they seek advice from our waste minimisation officer, or have we provided advice to them just around ensuring that those recycling bins are not contaminated and so forth, how they should actually be utilising those bins? Because, I mean, it's fine providing funding towards it, but I would hate to see those bins just get shoved into a larger bin and chucked in the rubbish.
So I can't answer off the bat, but I will take an action. I think that's a really good point to make sure that Savesh has been out there, our waste minimisation officer has been out there, talk to them about how not to cross-contaminate and how to ensure that whatever they are putting in the bins ends up in the right space in the long run.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So Savesh is on the waste minimisation committee for 100,000 grants. The staff assessed the $100,000 grants. As part of the process, we go back and forth to make sure that what they're installing, what they're going to be doing, follows the process of accountability, which is to collect data to make sure they're measuring weight and to assess what they're putting in each bin. But I think it could be a really good step for him to maybe visit them halfway through the year and make sure that they're actually doing that. Because it's easy to sign up or tick a box and say, yes, we've done that. But with our MFE responsibilities, we have to give weights back of what we're sorting and what we're measuring. So part of our accountability process, we've added in to weigh what they're recycling. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Any other questions on any aspects of the C's report? Deputy Mayor again.
Again, on page 28, just the rebranding of the Daffodil Festival. I was just curious as to the costing around that rebranding.
It was done internally.
Okay.
So,
So it wasn't done internally.
Excuse me, point of order here. This is your report. You signed it.
Okay. It's like I'm beginning to feel like Joe Biden again.
Makes you clarify it up here, Glenda.
Joe's
to slightly just move it from daffodils. Usually we might not waste their daffodils and but keep the brand of the Carterton Daffodil Festival and widen it out to the spring day out. And then that we can start to, because the festival in itself is bigger than daffodils, it's bigger than the train, and we everything that we're doing to celebrate that day to the brand and the image that we've got attached there. The reason why I'm not sure if it's in there, but National Festival's never had its own identity. It's always just been built on a poster. I'll rephrase that. We've used the steam train and daffodils, carefully placed on a poster with Daffodil Festival. But it's never had its own identity, and I think with what it brings to Carterton, it's really important to have an individual identity so that we can market it, get people into the region, grow our economy on that day. And I think that this process has enabled that to happen. And we wanted something that was really different and a little bit contemporary, a little bit, I guess, competitive with when you go to a city, you might see something that looks like that. The piece of artwork is, they put that together, hand drawn it from a list about this long of all of the different things that Daffodil Festival is to different people. So we pulled out a whole bunch of elements and made that picture, which if you look at travels from the Tararua is right up to the sea. It has the train tracks coming right down, and I can send, if anyone's interested in the creative background, that picture I'm happy to send it out. It's quite interesting, quite thoughtful, and captures our community. I think
Any more questions for Glenda?
I'm not sure, Jeff. This is your report.
Commendable to move away from the daffodils, because I know ours have just about finished at home. And I know with the Cancer Society for picking that they're coming earlier and earlier each year.
We have found, and discussing it with Glenda and the team, that the possibility of using Spring Day and as Greytown have done, extended Christmas into a week, we think is a really good opportunity for Carterton to, rather than limit ourselves to a single day, we've got a branding that will allow us to extend beyond just one day. It's a really good opportunity.
Any other questions?
No.
Observations?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. The building control, page 39. I was just curious how there's a massive drop in our consenting, and I'm just wondering how that has impacted our growth figures that we've included in the LTP and so forth. Just our projections.
Yeah, so there has been a decline. What we have in the LTP is a growth figure of 0.5% per annum. So it's not significant anyway. So at this stage, I don't see there being a risk around our growth numbers with the LTP.
And page 40, the noise control call-outs.
What stole my question?
What was the total cost to council per call-out, and the total cost for the month of June? Just
Can I ask Solitaire to assist with an answer?
Absolutely, without going into the exact figures, it's over 3,000 for the month of June. Pretty much we get charged about $159 per call out, or $159.69 per call out, and then we have to manually implement the system. So, if you get a call out at, for example, 5:30 on a weekday night because somebody's playing some music and Armour Guard go around there and go, well, it's just a pretty normal type of noise, we don't do anything. We have absolutely no way of recovering that cost, so that is a direct cost on the ratepayers for a service. We only recover costs when the Armour Guard call out results and then determine noise is excessive. And an issue end notice, which is an excessive noise direction.
Yeah, it's not an earth-shattering amount of money, but it's still really, really irritating.
And it does add up. And some over a year, direct ratepayer money for a service.
You put the piece in the crier with little council snippets. Is it worthwhile letting people know that that's what it's costing us?
Stop whinging.
Yeah.
Good and the party. It's just going to be to start doing better reporting on this, because it's just been a concern to me, and you're correct, why they're different amounts. It adds up. It's starting to report each month to council on noise complaints and how many resulted in end notices, so that actually everybody, elected members of the public, can work out that, okay, so we've had 20 call-outs, two of them have resulted in end notices. It's pretty obvious that there's a whole ratepayer funding going into the noise control. And by doing that, we'll also be able to track, particularly where there's problematic locations, put it in the crier, but also recognising that we're coming up to the summer months and you do tend to have a lot more parties and things outside. So we wanted to put together some quite cool, this promotional material with the comms team on, if you're going to have a party, how to be a good neighbour. Go around your immediate neighbours, tell them that you're having a party on this night, particularly give them a contact number. invite them.
Mm.
Because actually that does happen, and you know your name's running a bit tough, you know it's gonna only be one night. Most people will just tolerate it.
Can I add, one of the other processes that Solitaire and the team looking at is how we can provide feedback to the complainant about their noise complaint and what we did about it. So we will look to introduce a process whereby come Monday morning, we will lodge the excessive noise complaint, come through, and we will respond back to the complainant with Armaguard attended, here's what we found, here was our resolution of that complaint. Now, it may be after the event, and it may be quite a while after the event, because, you know, if the party's on Friday night, it won't be till the following week. But that does provide the community with an understanding that we have acted, and that in that particular instance, these are the actions we took, or in that case, we may not have taken any action. But I think that feedback loop is quite important.
Customer service.
Question on this topic. If it continues to be an issue and we decided we want to do something about it and wanted to charge the people who call in and the complaints aren't legitimate or followed through, when would that be able to happen? Like, when as a council would we be able to do that?
I think collecting data and providing the community with feedback is the first step. Where we see that there is a recurring theme occurring in one area, we will obviously try and engage with the parties involved first. I think charging is a last step that I would rather take. I prefer to get involved with the parties and talk to them and discuss the issue rather than charge.
Yeah. Sorry, I should clarify. What I really meant was, could we do that at any stage? Could we do that in 6 months' time, or does it have to be in line with a rating review or a?
No, we can do that at any stage.
Anything else? Yes, Bella.
Yeah, thank you. Page 41, infrastructure services 5, and down in the bottom paragraph, the longitudinal split in that AC pipe. To me, that with my experience in split pipes like that, that's usually caused from downward pressure. Now, my question would be that, you know, like the AC pipe must have been driven over or be pressurised from something. How deep are those? I'm probably asking the wrong person, Jeff. Lawrence might be able to help me. The depth of those pipes that are buried, are they really shallow and this is what's causing it? Is there development been on that berm up there that's caused the ground level to be eroded away or dug away? Do you know?
I can comment that we did get a separate report, and the indication was it was due to the installation. The bedding wasn't ideal, as well as there was very little separation between the culvert and the top of the berm. So it's not ideal, which it can, I would say, definitely the cause of it. Unlikely that there'd been too much traffic over the top of it, but I think it's just poor installation.
Way back.
Yeah.
May I add, Lawrence, and the destructive testing on the pipe that was undertaken, so is it NRI or the scanner that we've got there, confirmed that the further away we went from the culvert, the less impact, the less degradation there was in that particular pipe. So the pipe that was close to the culvert was the one that was at risk. Hence the the reclassification of the remainder of the pipe.
And it's not a major part of the network for those circumstances.
Yep, thank you.
I have a follow-on question from that pipe. The fact that the asset condition has been changed from very poor to only poor, what kind of impact does that have on the surrounding network? Is it just the strip we say is now only poor, or it sort of branches out and we have an expectation that a wider range of space has got better conditioned pipe than we had intended? Or
I'm happy if for Lawrence to I can answer, but it's probably better if Lawrence answers.
So yeah, it is. We do not do that many sort of testing other than when we do have a leak. And we do have an opportunity to take out a full section of pipe. So that was just on an age base. And even some of the comments on that and saying that they were very generic in terms of 1950, where they said that style of pipe didn't even come into production in New Zealand until 1953. It just reinforces assumptions from it. So it gives us a better basis around why we can get condition assessments for those pipes.
Not reason to celebrate that the network's all better than we anticipated.
No,
Yeah,
it is better. And
Yeah.
I think what it does do is for those pipes that are at the very end of their useful life,
Yeah.
it just means that with fewer pipes that are considered very poor condition, we're likely to get the ones that are needed
Yeah.
earlier, sooner.
That's on, isn't it?
Got a few comments on the question. Is that okay? First of all, congratulations to the library team and Quinton. The work that he's doing over there is so cool. The teddy bears sleepover was amazing and the kids loved it. And the new shelving down there, there's been a lot of like really positive changes in that space recently. I think that's cool. I just wanted to pass on congratulations. I had a question about the soft plastic bin, but then I saw on Facebook last night that it's in New World, which is exciting. So that will make lots of people happy. And my question was around Mayor's Task Force for Jobs. I don't know if I've missed something. I know things were changing, but I don't know what's changed. But I might have missed an update somewhere. But I wondered if someone could just talk about it, if we're allowed to talk about it, or.
There you go.
It could be the mayor. It's
Yeah.
So yeah, CDC and then the contract with the MSD. So the MSD are funding the whole service right across the New Zealand, and we're one. So yeah, I think 36 councils across the country that have got this contract. So the change that's happened is for the last 5 years we've worked with NEETs, so young people that aren't under traditional training, and helped put them into works to kind of helping them before they get into MSD and sit on the benefit. The change that's come about is that now. Sorry, just jumping back. We across the whole country did a really good job of that. We got quite a significant number of young people into employment, and MSD went, hey, that's pretty amazing. We want you to do that for people that are on the unemployment benefit. So they've changed their contract, and we now work with young people still. So they're 18 to 24. That on a benefit, whether that's unemployment, sickness, sole parent, and help them get into work. So the idea is that we'll still work with people that are fresh onto the benefit, that have only been on probably 3 to 6 months, and are actively looking to go into work. And we'll hopefully work through that. So we've got a contract to put 35 people throughout the year into started launching.
Okay, so under the old system, what percentage of people that you helped were on a benefit? Do you know roughly what that figure would have been? Like how many people have we?
It would have been a lot. So we've been working with the young ones, because we've quite a few that were coming out of school that didn't really know what that was.
So there's now still kind of quite a large potential group sitting there. And we can't help them until they get on a benefit.
No. So the challenge for us is that Mayor's Task Force for Job was always focused on needs and young people coming out of school, going into the workforce, who didn't wait until they were a job seeker. It didn't wait until they were on a benefit. It attacked the issue head up. And it was interesting having the briefing at the 25th anniversary from Gary Moore, who was the mayor who launched the whole thing. And took a Christchurch initiative, and then it became a national initiative. It became his task force for jobs. It was his council's doing initially, private initiative, but it was always focused at those young people. The challenge for the team has been accepting the government's turn and requiring Mayor's Task Force for Jobs now to look at job seekers. And that was a little challenging for a start, because with that comes some issues that are more relevant to people on job seekers than the youth that we've been dealing with. Our relationships with youth to work, working with REAP and the mayors have been quite well aligned and very useful. We've achieved results among the best in the country. In fact, we are unique in that we're the only Mayor's Task Force for Jobs collaborative contract across 3 councils. And so we stand out in that respect. And our results were quite astonishing. As you see, they've already exceeded we exceeded their target. The quid pro quo the government offered was they lowered, the other side of the coin is they also reduced funding, but they lowered targets as well. So it's been a bit of a pivot, a bit of a shock, because the thought and the notion that we'd be embroiled, that council staff would be confronted by people who had their benefits cut because they had not attended a job interview, because they had not followed the plan. That was not an attractive place for Mayor's Task Force to be. And I think utilising the chair of Mayor's Task Force for Jobs and LGNZ, Alex Walker, as the front person and the lobbyist, we made those points clear. But it was quite a long negotiation between our team here and MSD. I think we've dropped into a place we're comfortable with now. A lot of them are sick. The concerns we had have been mediated, or at least we are confident that we can work in that space. Our strength is that we have some very good staff, and bring in, and you might want to talk about the people who have now come on board, with Kylie coming on, working with Jenny Gas, and we've had good results because our connectivity into the community is very, very strong. We've had great buy-in from employers, whether it's McCarthy's, whether it's Premier Beehive, whether it's Janelle, anyone, all of the employers, Braden's down the road, we've had some excellent results. And I think that's been recognised up the chain at government level. I would, in defence of the Minister, I would say that the presentation she gave for the Local Government New Zealand Conference allayed a lot of people's fears, because she's certainly passionate about Mayor's Task Force for Job. One of the few ministers who actually had an interest in this before becoming a minister and had done a lot of her own research and was supportive of it. But I guess we've had to suck it up that the government's in economic straitjacket. They've been cutting funding everywhere. Mayor's Task Force for Jobs is not exempt from that. The targets have been reduced. They've broadened it out because, as she said, she's got a responsibility to placing people in jobs across the country, across all cohorts. And we just have to suck it up that we're going to carry a little bit of that load as well through taking on some job seekers. But we're in a comfortable space right now. Our targets are good. Our support from the employers in the Wairarapa is good. The understanding across the 3 councils that just because, it doesn't matter whether a young person in Marston gets placed in a job in Carterton, or a young person in Carterton gets placed in a job in Martinborough. We're working right across the whole region as one entity. Our team controls the contract. There have been questions around the corporate service charges that we make, but we have allayed those, and everyone seems the other 2 mayors seem very comfortable. I just like to think that after the election, our new mayors, whoever they are, will pick this up with the same vigour and continue to pursue it. I take my hat off to our staff, whether it's Glenda or Bex, or whether it's Kylie and Jenny Gass in the past. They've done a tremendous job, and we are seen in a very, very positive light, both within Mayor's Task Force for Job family itself and also, but very much in the minister's eyes and MSD's eyes. Have I missed anything? Yes.
Thanks, Commissioner. Another thing that I see as a positive, it's not so positive to read because it's all been brought in-house now. So they've lost that contract as such. But I see the relationships that the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs creates with the businesses in town is of massive benefit to us as the council. The better those relationships are and the stakeholders of council, I just see that as massive going forward rather than it's under reap as such.
That's probably one part I missed. The minister made it clear that from her perspective, she not only needed to know that mayors were investing in this, but they were seen to be, and that it was being run by the councils. There was a very clear message that they weren't particularly keen on the outsource model, which gave us a few challenges, but we've worked through that. And I think, Linda, how's that panning out now? We've brought it all in-house and we're ticking along quite well, aren't we? Very well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while it's in-house, we still pay to the main yes, and are very much considered the Mayor's Task Force Visuals are very much driving and steering the process. Wow. It's quite a good partnership between Kylie and us.
What pleases me is a total absence of parochialism. The mayors don't mind where youth come from. It's the one area I can say where there is no parochialism. It doesn't matter where the youth are coming from or where they're going to or which employer's getting them, whether it's Scotty's Meats down in Martinborough, every mayor is focused on just seeing the positive results and our young people being placed. It would be fair to say that every mayor's still watching the impact on having to bring that job seeker cohort in, and is mindful of the fact that it's Carterton District Council who, if there's going to be any negative response from someone who's aggrieved, having their benefit stopped, that would wear that in the first instance. But so far, none of those concerns have manifested into reality.
It's competitive though. Oh, it's Mayor Caffell is quite happy to remind Ron how many photos he's had with NEETs who have gone into employment. Yeah. So it is competitive.
And are there other external groups, if I beg Linda question, out there doing that role that Mayor's Task Force kind of was doing with those kids?
Yeah, so there is another service, so Youth Services, which is a weighted up service, MSD providing service as well, which is based here in Carterton. They've got a certain percentage of that as well. But one of the other concerns that we have is that group is now. So there will be a gap there. And we just don't know what that looks like and how much impact that's going to have at this point.
The connector I still like to see working better as the connector into the Wairarapa Economic Development Strategies Workforce Leadership Group, because they are a collection of employers and business, biz Wairapas in there, and all the educators are in there as well, and having them understand that Mayor's Task Force for Jobs is one of their conduits for fresh blood. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. Councillor Amy.
I just had a question with regards to the people in corporate section. I wonder if you could talk. I've got two questions. One was, how many hours is the water race overseer hired, employed for?
Full time.
That's full time. And the second question was with regards to 3 positions being disestablished and 3 new positions created. I'm wondering if you could speak to those, or if at some point we can have a updated family tree of council staff and where all different roles have been moving around.
I'm more than happy to update the organisational chart and provide that to council. I think as we go through the process, now probably not a good time to do that in public, but we need to update council what's been completed.
Thank you.
Thanks, His Worship. Just a couple more, Jeff. That's fine. One's just around page 44 in the sludge. I know it's mentioned in there that there's been a trial over 10 days. I know in the past we've had issues at certain times of the year with aromas and heat and different things impacting the ponds. Is it planned to get that desludging underway as soon as possible before we move into warmer?
Yes, so we had hoped to have it started before now, but there was a slight delay in getting the pad completed. So we're back to using pond 3. I think, is it pond 3? Yeah. So we're back to using pond 3, where we'll dewater pond 3 and get the desludging underway. We can actively treat, once the dewatering is complete, we can actually treat for the aroma directly on the remaining sludge. So it's a whole lot easier to do that than it is with the other ponds. So we'll be able to deal with the aroma much more appropriately once we take it out. And then that trial will continue for our sludge, and then we'll look to expand it further.
Just on the sludge, is there much risk to our pond liners with this process? Is it something that is quite, like, I've got diggers going in there and around on the liners? Like,
Those old ponds.
oh, the old, sorry, the old ones.
They do have clay line.
Clay line.
Yeah.
We're not rupturing.
And it's
Should be.
one benefit of actually doing this way is that we can do a bit of inspection on the plans to see what the conditions are.
Right, yeah.
But there was a bit of contingency allowed for if we did have to do any sort of repairs, but because it is a clay liner, it is usually a lot thicker than just like your PE 5 mils.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot more risk to damage.
Cool, thank you.
Just another observation
Sorry.
too. Sorry, with the aroma, that may come from putting it on bunded lime will alleviate a lot of that risk of aroma too, won't it, Lawrence?
Correct, yes, and we do have, well, there's processes to allow for it and if the contingency if necessary.
Yeah.
If it starts getting them.
So is the lime pad, where it is immediately adjacent to the ponds, is that, if we were going to do commercial composting, is that where we would do it?
No, this is the trial site.
Yeah.
So the commercial composting would be much larger than that, and we would consider whether or not we would use the site on Matarawa Road, whether we'd expand potentially, and this area here is a small part of the pivot. So if we wanted to expand, we would have to reduce the pivot area. So it depends on how successful this trial is and how big we should go as to where we will put it next.
Right, because if it was there, when we transfer assets to another entity, we had to transfer that business as well, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Which we'd probably prefer not to do.
Well, I think there's a difference between the underlying asset, which is the land,
Yes.
and the operation on top of that, which we may be able to retain.
Yeah, I think Johannes has said we should be able to retain a composting. Yeah.
Sorry, Lawrence was going to.
There's also the point that the area that we're operating on is already consented to treat sludge. If we did it on another site such as Matarawa, we'd have to go through the whole consenting process and into neighbours. So the delay to actually get that up and operational, as well as the potential cost in consenting that was one consideration for the site.
Okay. Any other questions?
I've got to ask a couple more, His Worship. Just page 31, the youth week. There's a fantastic picture in there, but it doesn't say, was that the winner? It's a little bit confusing. Was that the winning design?
Yes.
It was?
Yes, that's the winning design. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
So that image will come out on the page.
Thank you. And I just had a couple of just comments to make. You've already mentioned Mayor Staff's jobs. Fantastic. I just wanted to pass on now all my best wishes and to Brett and Kathy.
Councillor Gallen.
Lawrence, we talking about, Matarawa, Wellington Regional Council be involved?
Sorry.
Or a consent. Council consent.
Consent. Consent with the regional council.
Took the word.
Yeah, that's what you really think, Steve.
Are there any other questions? Comments? There being none, I move to the recommendation. Goes. Yeah, seconded by Councillor Newman.
My hand was moving.
Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, abstentions, motion's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, team. Water race 8.2 oral history project. Lawrence, come on.
Yes, so the oral history, I unfortunately was not present at the meeting where it was discussed. However, I understand a number of people were. I'll take the report as read, but I'm assuming there will be quite a few questions.
Are there quite a few questions?
Could I
Maybe
clarify? One of the questions that was raised by the Youth Council last night was they highlighted that the writer was related to Johannes, and I just wondered if Lawrence might be able to talk through the process we've gone through in terms of reviewing that procurement to ensure that there has been no conflict of interest when we considered that process.
There's always sort of conflicts of the risk of conflict of interest in New Zealand. However, yes. So it had been a discussion point at various different committee meetings with the water race to get and progress a bit of oral history, with taking into account that some members in the farming community are getting on, so not losing that. We did consider approaching consultants, and Johannes, not sure what the actual process was, but Michelle got involved and was able to put the proposal together. From my own experience with consultants, I don't think you get any consultants I've been, your graduates are already at $110 to $120 an hour. So as well as having somebody local, it was beneficial. So yeah, we could have gone to consultants, but it would have been much more expensive.
And Johannes wasn't involved in that decision.
No.
And just further to that, at the Water Race Committee, Johannes did declare
as a conflict of interest. Yeah.
So just some clarity on the costs in that. Can you just explain for the public? And given the questions raised by the Youth Council, is the money is out of the water race funding from targeted rates?
Correct.
It will, yes.
It comes from out of their budget, and
the committee
elected members of the Water Race Committee sign off on.
Yeah. So yeah, from the council's point of view, they're taking the recommendation from the committee and it'll be coming out from targeted rates. Yeah.
One of the other points that the Youth Council did raise was whether or not we'd considered external funding and whether that could help offset that cost. And I thought that was a very valid point from the Youth Council. 3 of them did it online while we were talking because they can multitask. I couldn't. And they have sent through some Ministry of Cultural and Heritage possibilities where we will look at seeing if there is funding available for this kind of history. Yeah. One of the other questions Youth Council asked was around why are we doing this now? And we did talk about, similar to what Lawrence has said, around some of the farming knowledge is being lost. Also, some of the operational and staff knowledge is extending, and we don't want to lose that either. So we thought this is a really good time to do it, particularly when with an apprentice coming on board. It's a really good time to document that.
Yeah.
And it has been raised in a few committee meetings and has sort of been put off a little bit, to progress. We'll do it next time. So.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Ron. Yeah, the Water Race Committee's been tossing this idea around for quite a few years now, and we've just had another new intake of elected water race members, which 3 out of the 4 are the same. But, so that's one reason why it's carrying on. But you know, as I've said lots of times before, the water race is unique in the sense that. And it has a lot of history. It was started before the First World War, finished after the First World War, and there's 306 kilometres of hand-dug water race. So it is something worth documenting and chasing the history on it, and finding out a lot of that information. Now's the time to do it before some of the landowners that are now really. There is some third generation landowners still on the land, and we want to capture their knowledge before they depart off the land. So it is important that we get it done.
That from the chair of the Water Race Committee.
Thanks, Worship.
It's definitely spoken about last Triennial as well on the Water Race Committee, like it was highlighted as something really important to know.
Thanks, Worship. Jeff, I'm just wondering, depending on what the outcome is of funding that might be available through external sources, Ministry of Arts and Culture or whoever, or Culture and Heritage. I'm just wondering if there's an issue in looking at funding, if we're talking about moving forward to phase 3, is there an opportunity to utilise the Historical Society to apply for that funding, and whoever does phase 3 just fits under the Historical Society umbrella?
Great idea. Well, it's a great idea. I could see this project as having a huge historical benefit, but also the potential for for us to participate in the award, because it is really a celebration of more than 100 years worth of work on something that has brought a whole lot of economic wealth to what was a flat, dry plain.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things that just the only comment I'd make is that what was being interesting and during going through the consenting phase has been the shift from regional council and others who saw the water races initially as a negative thing. They were simply dug to provide water for stock. But to where now they are looked upon as the feeder, ecological feeder that enhances the well-being of the main tributaries and the rivers. And there has been the ironic twist. And I think that what will be good is seeing that documented and seeing that published in history, to see how it's become an asset to environmentally aware people now, and ironically, there's a backflip on that, isn't it? And that's now the regional council want to control that as well. It's creative out there help.
Right. Supplementary to that too. At the last Water Race Committee meeting, Lawrence presented the water test results, and for those, if you know, dairy farmers get poo-hooed about polluting water races and water bodies. The actual nitrate tests in the water race now are below will New Zealand drinking water standards percentage. So that's pretty amazing. So
It's a myth buster.
yeah, it's something that's really a really positive for the water race, the users, and the way they've been looked after, and the way they've been managed by us.
And that's been talked about quite regularly. The quality of the water is actually better running through the races than when it comes out of the river.
So, if there are no further questions, someone like to move that we receive the report? Councillor Chair Campbell, seconded by Councillor Gallen, all in favour?
Aye.
Against, abstentions, motion carried, approves. Second recommendation, approve the unplanned expenditure of the water race budget of 14,400 as stated, plus just phase 1 and for phase 1 and 2 of the project. Someone like to move? Councillor Keller, Deputy Mayor, all in favour?
Aye.
Against, abstentions, motion's carried. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much. 8.3, policy and process for submissions on legislative and regulatory changes.
With your permission, may I invite Bex Clark to join us?
Hey, Bex.
Hello.
Would you like to lead off? Would you like me to introduce?
Got a couple of notes for you can introduce and I can fill in the gaps.
Sounds like a plan. Bex, clarify what I'm about to say.
In the gaps.
So Bex and the team we'd received some feedback from staff around legislative changes that are coming through from the government, which seem to be coming through thick and fast. And as part of that process, we identified that we have shortening timeframes for submission responses, and also a lot of legislation coming at us all at once. And so we wanted to figure out a process of what we are prepared to respond to and how we get council's endorsement of that. And that was the genesis behind this particular paper. Given we're nearing the end of the Triennial, we thought it was a really good time, rather than give this to a new council, to ask you how you think it should operate, how you want staff to operate in terms of responding to government legislative changes and regulatory changes. And also it would help us manage our workload, because there is so much coming at us. Make choices about whether or not we just support an LGNZ or a Title R or a response, or whether we actually start drafting things.
Six.
All I was going to add, and it came up in the Youth Council last night, was that it's an opportunity for residents to see that CDC is acting as an advocate on their behalf, because they may not have the means or the interest or the time to make their own submissions. So I think one of the benefits of having a policy like this could help show residents that we care about some of the legislative changes and we're acting on their behalf, advocating on their behalf.
Question. Councillor Ayling.
Yeah, I thought this was a really interesting report, and I agree. I think it's something that we should have a plan for. Following on from my comments I made this morning on AI, I did wonder how council could be utilising AI in this space, because I agree with what you've just said. From the point of being leaders in the community, being seen to engage in policy that's happening in central government, to have the local council go, we're too busy to delve into it. Joe Blogg down the street will go, I'm too busy to delve into it too. Like, we need to be seen as people who engage in this legislation, because we get it more than a lot of people do. But we don't want it to take up our ratepayers' funds by paying staff to look at this constantly. So if we're putting reports into some sort of processor that the IT department are okay with, popping out reports of what our submission is, have someone overlook it. But I just think that's a way to engage in the process, but not take up lots of time. Yeah. And
Great suggestion.
Yeah. With IT's blessing, of course, but she seems smart.
Yeah.
So kind of further to that, this has me thinking of, why are we continuing with Local Government New Zealand membership? And how much are we paying annually, please, Chief?
27,
Yeah.
20, something.
29,
20, something.
And just if we're looking at things like this now and being more proactive for our community, on behalf of our community, again, why do we want to continue with local government New Zealand in some respects?
Jeff not answer that last time you asked and explain that a lot of the benefits aren't the sort of conferences and stuff. It's actually the things behind the scenes that we as governance don't get to see, but management can actually tap into. Well, Mike, was I correct on that, Jeff?
Well, that's where I see this is I would have expected something out of local government New Zealand for these constant legislative changes that are coming from central government.
There are, we do get, with almost every piece of legislation or submission, we do get LGNZ and Taitoara drafting responses for us to consider, and we can incorporate either all or some of their feedback into our response. In some cases, we are very interested. So the building regulatory stuff, we're quite interested in. Some of the other legislative changes we're less interested in. The regulatory standards bill, I've already responded back to Taitoara's draft submission and saying, I think you need to tighten it up here. And there's a whole bunch of things you could look at. So we do, I do get them. I don't share them with you. I think that should be part of our process as to whether or not we wish to put our name to it as well. I take that, but I do get a lot of feedback from both of those entities on draft submissions.
And I would add, Jeff, that it's fair to say that within LGNZ, the differing sectors have differing views. Regional councils sit out there on one side, and they are not in sync. Most often they are not in sync with rural district councils. We've seen that when we came into this triennium, the CE had to draft up rapidly a response to the plan change.
Plan change one.
Plan change one, and that had to be in on a very tight deadline, and you could not wait for the council to sit and deliberate, ponder and consider that, and did a good job. And I have to say, having read it after that, I absolutely agree. But there are differing views in LGNZ, and there is competition. And when we have a combined sector meeting, you should attend. Those differences stand out. There is also this, I've never seen LGNZ so political and so politically divided between rural, provincial, and metropolitan. A critic would say that metropolitan's very woke and very PC, and rural's pragmatic, and the two often run head to head. So having your ability to draft something that's unique to our view is important. And I think this draft is a good policy start point. We can put it before policy and projects and refine and bring it back to council. But I think what this will do is standardise the process and give staff a lot more certainty and some delegated authority so that they can move swiftly. The timelines, I don't know if it's me, I'm getting older, but they seem to be getting shorter. And there seems to be a hell of a lot more urgent legislation going through with very, very short submission times at select committee. You've got to be in or you've missed out. And you can't always rely on LGNZ to put out a template submission that truly reflects Carterton ratepayers' views. Yeah. You can't. Which probably brings back to that other question that was asked. Where's the value?
Well, yeah, my main reason for asking that is, as you already mentioned, is worship. Local government New Zealand have shown themselves to be very politically aligned. And at conference, the speech by the president, where he mentioned that potentially the chair should not be a member or an elected representative, I think is very relevant, so that they have an independent person running local government New Zealand. And some of the people sitting under that, like the CE, should be independent as well.
I've never seen it as,
Politically
to
aligned.
be fair though, Deputy Mayor, I've never seen it as political as what I've seen over this last 3 years. And you've got to be aware that when LGNZ puts up a plethora of red screens and the chair of the regional council appears in a red T-shirt with activist chair, and they openly challenge the Prime Minister who's about to take the podium to speak, some might argue that that is like waving a red flag in front of a bull, and it's not particularly helpful for local government down in the wider sphere. And we're a small voice in that field, and things like that hurt us more than it would hurt Auckland.
Yeah.
Auckland,
Auckland pulled out.
they did pull out because they've got the strength, the size, the scale, the population to stand alone, and the budget. But we are not necessarily in that space. Our judgment call's got to be a very cautious one, because there are things that we get from there, some of which is useful, some of which is not. But this policy, this paper, commend it. Is there any other questions? Yeah. So we have 3 recommendations. Yes.
I was going to say, it sounded like I quite like Grace's idea of using AI to speed up the process, because drafting is one of the things that we find is very time consuming.
And digesting the information. Bills are not easy to read.
I think that's certainly good feedback.
Yeah. Are there any final questions, guys? Okay, we move forward. So 3 recommendations there. Shall I take them as we receive the report? Instructs the officers to draft legislative regulatory submissions policy, associated policy process for council to consider adopting. Notes that the draft submissions policy and associated process will be presented for consideration at the Policy Projects Committee meeting on 10th of September. Is that sufficient time? Let's take the, do you want to take them all as one, or take the first 2? I'll take the first 2. Reserve number 1 and number 2. Someone to move, please. Okay, Councillor Aileen, Councillor Della, all in favour?
Aye.
Against, abstentions? Those 2 recommendations are passed. 3, is there anything that people wish to question on 3? Take meeting time. Jeff, do you want to talk to the timeline?
It is very tight. If it's not as urgent for council, we would be very grateful if we pushed it beyond into the next triennium. We could bring it up in one of the first meetings before the end of the calendar.
So
we can just leave that on the table. I'm happy to just leave it on the table, and we'll bring it back to council in the next triennium.
Members comfortable with that?
Yeah, as long as when it's brought back, it has our previous council's strong endorsement, so then it might help.
Well, notes draft submission policy presented for consideration by Policy and Projects Committee before the end of the calendar year. Can we amend that, please, Robin, to read before the end of the calendar year? Someone like to move, please? Councillor Cherry Campbell, seconded by Councillor Lawrence. All in favour?
Away without being noticed today.
Motion's carried. I got your name in there. Righty, thank you very much. Point 4, amendment to fees and charges.
I'll take the lead on this one. Nicholas is unwell today, so essentially a minor change to our fees and charges that I would not have brought to council had not it been for our corridor access fees, which went up by the price of inflation plus GST on the entire charge, and we felt we needed to correct that before it got too far into the year. Given that we're correcting that, I'm also correcting some minor changes within cemetery fees.
I'm going to take it it's been read. If there are no questions, I'd like to move straight to the resolutions. I'll take them both as one. Someone like to move a recommendation 1 and 2 in block? Councillor Gallen, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Motion's carried. 8.6.
Solitaire.
Statement of investment policy and the objectives are steep.
Yeah, number
8.5. District Licensing.
Yes.
Committee.
Here's my flag.
The issues.
Zeros.
There it is. Right over. Thanks.
Fees and charges.
Right,
How come you
8.5.
can't pick that up?
Page 9.
Excellent.
He's sleeping again.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, Deputy Mayor, councillors. It's that fun time of year that everybody will know. It's called election period, and we do sometimes need to do things to put just some measures in place, particularly on some of these committees where there is training required. So this comes up every 3 years, and it's more about the District Licensing Committee and that transitional arrangement. So as you'll see from the paper, what I'm asking is that our current Councillor Della, who is our chair, and Councillor Cherry Campbell, who is a Wairarapa-wide District Licensing Committee member, just be appointed to the 30th of June. That is the end date. It could be shortened. Post-elections, we don't know who's going to be sitting on what committees. We have no idea what the skill set around the table is going to be. But what this does do is keep our experienced people on board up until 30th of June. So by the time any appointments are made, could be potentially December. Then, depending on when there's going to be any training for alcohol licences. We've never actually had to use this because we haven't had any hearings within that period. But I'm always of the opinion that you're better to have these measures in place because if you don't, you will almost guarantee we'll end up in a situation where we need to have a commissioner and we don't have anybody trained or appointed.
Pretty easy one.
Yeah.
Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Newman. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion, good.
It's both.
You move both. Reckon that was it. Recommendations 1 and 2 are passed. Moving to 8.6. Statement of investment policy, SIPO, and there it is all there. We had a lot of discussions at the policy committee, did we not? No, investment committee. Yes, that's where we had the discussion. So we have thrashed this quite a bit of the investment committee. Taking it as read. Any questions of the CE? There been none?
Can I just ask,
Yes.
it wasn't at the investment committee?
Oh,
I'm assuming this fixes the issue that we had from Audit New Zealand.
yes.
Cool. That's all I need to know.
It's in red and
Yep.
there.
Page 102.
Yeah,
Added.
I thought that's what it meant, but I was just thought I'd check. Great.
Okay. The other comment it's probably worth making is it was moved by the Mayor at the investment committee that we remove the basically the wellbeing requirements out of the SIPO because for two reasons really. One is they're reasonably inappropriate for investments because it theoretically could put you in a straitjacket.
Mm.
And secondly, as we had some discussion, this is likely to need to be done in a number of our other policies, and we might as well do it with the investment one while we're considering it. Rather than come back and do it again. Agreed.
That was the view of the committee. So I am going to move straight to recommendations 1 and 2, put them both as one. Would someone care to move, please? Mayor, seconded, Councillor Lawrence with the nod. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion is carried. Moving to 8.7, page 105. Updated policy on elected members' allowances, expenses. We're cancelling them all, right? We're doing a budget cut.
It is purely administrative largely, so just the update on recent Room Authority changes. There were updates in line with those changes, and recently we've incorporated the kilometre allowance, so that has been reviewed by IRD post the Room Authority determination, so that's why it's not effective till 1 September. The other option or opportunity you have at the moment is just to consider the travel time allowance and the security allowance and security, which is quite new. The popped in there, I guess the consideration is really the cost around it might look like in relation or in balance to a threat assessment. So whether you feel that you'd like to pursue that. So
I'm going to take this as read well and truly because most members do read these things. Fix them personally very well. So are there any questions or clarification? Yes, please, Councillor New.
2.3, bottom of page 109. It's expected that elected members will have a home telephone. Do people have home telephones still?
No.
They're in their pocket.
Like a boss, or it can just be a mobile phone.
Yes.
It relates to his mobile.
Oh, okay. Well, it mentions mobile phone after and it specifically lists it, so I just didn't know
There we go.
it's expected that we have it. And then it also talks about a home computer, but you've also mentioned earlier that we're not going to have printouts come next week.
I know.
So it's more like, okay, so
It's a
suggested.
council decision.
But I'm just wondering if it's not necessarily it's a home computer, is it's like a laptop that you can bring also to
It
meetings?
does say personal computer, doesn't it?
Well, it says their own home computer. It just seems like some of this is written in the 90s.
It's a computer.
A home
I
computer.
think,
and a
maybe,
landline.
I think maybe
It's the rough year.
maybe home is saying home as opposed to, it could have equally said personal.
Well, yeah, maybe it needs to be personal because it does need to be able to bring it to meetings, ideally. If we are wanting to reduce printing.
The wording could be modified,
That's all I was just noting.
Modernised.
Yeah.
modernised.
Are we in discussion?
We are in discussion.
So just around the agrees or do not agree. For me personally, I think having the opportunity for an elected representative to choose to have a security system installed, I think should be there.
Yes.
Whether we choose to use it or not is obviously up to us as individuals. But to not have it there and then have that expectation that because you put yourself in the position of being elected and then you feel threatened in that position and you've got to pay for that out of your own pocket to protect yourself, I just think there should be that allowance. We should allow for that.
I'm very conscious that it's hard sometimes for members to advocate for themselves and their own family circumstances. So as a person who's not standing, I am going to say this is no different to what members of parliament get. And people recognise that members of parliament have sometimes people who track and trace and follow, and there are security threats. Increasingly, you don't have to read too much online. Increasingly, it's becoming a more challenging job for councillors, for elected members who are the face of the council. And I think it is a duty of care. And I think it is a responsibility of council not just to look after themselves and their own staff, but to look after their elected representatives. And security is an issue. So I don't care if it's 50,000. You can't evaluate someone's mental well-being, feelings of safety, feelings of security without doing something about it. So that's my view. Councillor Haley.
Can I play the devil's advocate here? I totally agree. I think having security systems as something that's accessible to members is great. I question the fact, I mean, I know you guys haven't set this figure, but 4,500 is way more than it costs to have a camera put up at your house. You could have a really good system for a quarter of that. Is there a way that we could say a smaller figure? Because I just think more of us might be inclined to say we will get a small system. But I think having a figure like that, it could be asking for council to be coughing up a lot of costs going forward if you have people around the table who are that way inclined.
It's up to Councillor Newman, and I've got a comment on
As
that.
a husband of an electrician, not a conflict of interest, I'm not saying to use them, but depending on like the property setup you've got, say you're rural, just one camera's not gonna, pick up your perimeter of your property.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get the cameras wired instead of just on solar, I think it's a realistic figure.
There will be those councillors, those people who are elected who already have their own security systems. You've got to factor that in. You have those people who won't want people to know what they've got, so they won't ask you to install it. There are a whole bunch of things. Not every member of parliament has a security system put in. I had to have a security system put in after an incident. And I would suggest that any councillor who who draws attention of unsavoury elements needs to be protected. Simple. So, and the cost will vary. The cost will vary depending on the site, as exactly as Councillor Newman says. They won't all be the same.
Okay, cool.
Councillor Dell?
You know, it's just, just pointing out that that figure in here is up to 4,000.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You can set your own figure though, if you wanted to make that a lower figure for that council's purpose of the policy.
And there's nothing to stop a councillor topping it up if they want to do something more elaborate. Are we good?
Yep.
We have 3 recommendations. Put the first 2 as 1. Someone to move, please. Recommendations 1 and 2. Councillor Newman, so I will second quite happily. And all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Those 2 resolutions are carried. The resolution 3 agrees to addition of travel time allowance and or the security system allowance. I'm going to move. Is there someone care to move either or?
The first one.
Moved by Councillor Cherry Campbell. Seconded by Councillor Gallen. That is, agrees to the addition of travel time allowance and.
Can I clarify the wording?
Yes, can you? Can you?
What have you moved? Councillor
This
Cherry
one.
Campbell?
The first.
Agrees with to the addition of the travel time allowance and the security system allowance.
And the security.
Or.
And moved and security system allowance to the policy. That is the resolution moved and seconded. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? That resolution is carried as amended by Councillor Triennial. Thank you very much. Moving to 8.8. Page 113, local government, official information.
This report, the next report, our 2 standard reports around the Goima and complaints. I don't know if there's anything I need to highlight there, other than we've had probably a pretty quiet time at the moment on the Goimas.
People are happy.
Long man, continue.
Any questions?
Does it typically pick up around election period? Like, are you expecting it to be busy?
It could do. I don't know. You maybe answers better than I typically.
That ramps up before the election period generally. But I mean, I would take that as a compliment. You know, it's not a bad place to be in.
That's good.
Someone like to move or receive the report? Councillor Newman, seconded by Solid Cherry Camp.
It's waiting to vote, but yeah, I'm just second it.
All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion's carried. 8.9, service requests and complaints. Any complaints about complaints?
I'd like to say we are starting to do a little bit more work on our complaints, and in terms of processing systems, we're uncovering a couple of little gaps that we've had, particularly in the complaints area where we're accurately counting them. So we're recording them and also the close loop back to people to ensure that we responded well. So we're doing a little bit of work around process, but otherwise I think relatively, touch wood, still very low in terms of complaints. There's no serious trends or issues that were identified that are coming in all about one thing at the moment that we're seeing.
Service requests, on the other hand, it's massive.
A big number.
196.
That's because everyone rings Ron and then Ron turns around and tells them to put a service request.
We've certainly been promoting the use of service requests.
I will send you the link to fill it out.
See, told you.
But that is huge.
So you may recall a little while back, I sent out a table, that we're on top of things. I haven't seen significant changes in terms of overdue service requests coming through. So that would suggest that it is a relatively wide approach to service requests. Could be everything from the wind that we had in the month of July with, falling limbs of trees and versus roading issues. But I haven't seen an escalation in the number of overdue service requests going through.
The only question I have is around, and we discussed this the other day, is the follow-up after we've closed it.
So on service requests, it's already in place.
Yeah.
On complaints, it's in place. Well, we spoke about that need also needs to expand into things like after hours noise control. So at the moment, there is a close-off process for service requests and for complaints. So that.
I get notifications that the service request has been received. Not sure I get a notification to say the task has been finished.
Okay, we will check all of yours.
It's
It's a great test, right? If you're not getting them.
Yeah.
You put them in,
I do some on behalf of other people.
whether they get it wrong.
Whether they get it.
And no, but I do some as the mayor.
Yeah.
And I put it in it could be to my mayor's.
It could be they've gone to the mayor's email and Sarah's dealt with them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just that close up.
It's you're responsible.
No, I don't put it. I've got about 6 stacked up that I haven't got around to putting them
You need to start checking your emails as well, right?
in. He annoys me because I was going to put in a service request and then I came back and the pothole had been fixed. And before I got it in, that's excellent work. It's excellent.
There's one up on Norfolk Road, but I think it was probably created by the road crew with their trucks.
They dug a hole.
Looked like it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many times I've got to put in a service request to have the giveaway sign put back on Chester Road and Norfolk. I think a number of times that's been smashed down by silly people.
Going around the corner.
Yeah, silly. Anyway, someone like to move or receive the report? Seconded by Councillor Ayling. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? It's carried. And we are at 9. No, 9. We're at 10. Any closing comments for the C before I move to Karakia?
Looks like difference. Tell us off again.
Can I ask council to remain?
And ask.
Right, ladies and gentlemen. Here, whakamuta. Here, whakamuta.
Kia waisia, aisia. Kia tuki, whakatahai. Kia tuki, whakatahai. Kia ora,
Thank you very much.